Can you imagine what it would be like to fight for your life in an arena while thousands of eyes watch you, waiting for the moment when you either achieve victory or fall? In Glory and Blood, the 10 most famous gladiators of the Roman Empire and their epic battles, you'll be transported to the heart of the arenas where Roman gladiators became living legends. These men faced not only physical combat, but also the internal battle for survival and an insatiable desire to achieve glory. If you've ever felt challenged, seeking your place in the world, you'll connect with these stories of struggle, pain, and triumph. Join us as we relive the greatest battles of ancient Rome and discover how these heroes turned blood into glory. Imagine yourself walking through the bustling streets of ancient Rome. The air is thick with the sound of conversations, and the smell of freshly baked bread mixes with the aroma of the marketplaces. But as you walk, there is an increasing excitement, something more intense in the air today. Everyone is heading in the same direction, with eyes bright with anticipation. The murmurs of people whispering famous names make your heart race. They aren't politicians or generals, but gladiators, the heroes of the people. You join the crowd and suddenly spot the imposing Colosseum on the horizon. It's impossible not to be impressed. The massive stone structure rises against the sky like a monument to the gods, a place where ordinary men become legends. You've heard stories about what happens inside that place, and today you'll finally witness it with your own eyes. Inside the arena, the setting is grand. The roar of the crowd echoes all around. The emperor himself is present, surrounded by his guard, watching from his throne, with a keen gaze awaiting the start of the combats. Amid all this pomp and splendor, the true spectacle begins. Down below on the blood-stained sands of the arena stand the gladiators. They are not just warriors, they are stars. Each one is a unique mix of strength and charisma. The crowds know their names. You see men of all ages shouting, and women throwing flowers towards their heroes. There in front of everyone, the gladiators are ready to fight for their lives and for their glory. Have you ever tried to understand the wars that made Rome the greatest empire in the world, but found yourself lost in so many confusing details? If so, you are not alone. Imagine finally mastering the most important details that shaped Rome, learning the strategies of great generals like Julius Caesar and Scipio Africanus, and understanding how these maneuvers changed the course of history. Knowing how hard it is to find this information, I've made my digital book, The 10 Battles That Shaped the Roman Empire, available, giving you access to all of this in a clear and direct way. Discover how Rome won impossible battles, learn curiosities that you won't find elsewhere, and become an expert in Roman military history. Go to the pinned comment and get yours now, as our units are running out. And then, the sound of trumpets. One of the most anticipated gladiators of the afternoon, known for his skill and bravery, enters the arena. The crowd shouts his name, their voices roaring like thunder. He raises his hand calmly as if greeting old friends, but his eyes are focused. He knows what's at stake. The fight begins. You hold your breath, along with everyone around you. The clash of swords is deafening. The gleam of metal shines in the sun, and each movement is like a dance, rehearsed to perfection. With every strike, the gladiator wins over the crowd. They shout, cheer, stand up, stomp their feet. But it's not just the violence that captures your attention, it's the courage. It's the honor of fighting in front of so many souls, knowing that at the end of the day, there may be no tomorrow. But there's something deeper. The gladiator fights for something beyond the public's entertainment. He fights for freedom, for respect, and perhaps for the chance to be remembered long after the dust of the arena has been swept away. Because for many of them, this arena is not just a battleground. It is the stage where their story will be written, a story that may last for centuries. With each victory, he moves closer to something greater than anyone there could imagine. The crowd roars, but deep down, you wonder, what drives these men? Is it glory? Is it the desire for a better life? Or perhaps it's simply the will to survive in a world that only offers an escape for the strong? As the fight progresses, you begin to understand what makes these figures so glamorous and irresistible. It's not just their skill with the sword or mastery of the shield. It's the courage to face the impossible, to confront the unknown, and to do so with their heads held high. This is what makes gladiators so fascinating, not only to the Romans, but to all of us, even centuries later. And then, as the gladiator raises his sword in victory, you feel that this moment, this battle, will live on forever in the stories people tell, in the songs that will be sung, and in the legends that will continue to be passed down. But this is just one of the many battles that shaped these heroes. For every gladiator who conquered the crowd, others awaited their chance to shine. The story of Tetris de Tron begins in an unexpected place, in the quiet, abandoned streets of the ancient city of Pompeii. Imagine an archaeologist carefully digging through the ruins when he discovers something fascinating. Ancient graffiti, carvings on the walls, tales forgotten by time. Among these carvings was the name Tetris de Tron, a gladiator who, long before the city's destruction, had already won the hearts of the people with his courage. Before I reveal one of the most famous gladiators of ancient Rome, make sure to remember the name and image of this channel so you can always return to this reliable source. Now check if you've subscribed, because here you'll find rigorously researched and presented facts about one of history's most influential civilizations. And now meet Tetris. He was not just any gladiator. He had a fighting style that no one had ever seen before. While most combatants entered the arena protected by heavy armor, strong shields, and helmets covering their faces, Tetris did the opposite. He defied convention, fighting without a breastplate, exposing his body as if to show the world he did not fear death. This not only made him fearless, but also a unique spectacle for the audience. People traveled from afar just to watch him face his enemies, always with his short sword and that large rectangular shield, which he wielded as an extension of his own body. What made Tetris such a memorable gladiator was not only his boldness, but also the way he fought. Every movement was calculated, precise. He seemed to dance with his sword, dodging blows with incredible agility, always keeping his eyes locked on his opponent without hesitation for a single second. His skill was so impressive that, even without the protections of other gladiators, he won his fights with astonishing frequency. One of Tetris's most remarkable victories was against Plurus, another fierce gladiator who many believed was unbeatable. The fight between the two became legendary. Imagine being in that Colosseum, the sun beating down on the sandy arena, the crowd buzzing with anticipation. Tetris without a breastplate, facing Plurus, fully equipped and ready to destroy anyone who crossed his path. But as the fight progressed, Tetris began to show his superiority. He used his speed and intelligence, gradually disarming Plurus as the crowd rose to their feet, incredulous at what they were witnessing. When Tetris finally won, the crowd's roar was deafening. He had not only defeated Plurus, but had once again proven that he was truly one of a kind. With that victory, the fame of Tetris de Tron was no longer confined to Rome alone. His name began to echo throughout the empire. Glass vases found in places as distant as present-day France, England, and Hungary depict Tetris's victory over Plurus. It was as if, in every corner of the empire, someone had heard of the courage and mastery of this gladiator, who turned each fight into a work of art. But Tetris was not just a fighter. He was a symbol of defiance, of someone who faced the impossible with an open heart, unafraid of loss. With every fight, he showed the Roman people that even in the face of the greatest adversities, victory was possible, if you had the courage to confront your fears head-on. This made Tetris not just a gladiator, but a hero of the people. However, his story doesn't end here. The next time we step into the arenas of ancient Rome, we'll dive even deeper into the battles and challenges that shaped his legend. Because, for Tetris, each battle was only the beginning of something greater. Tell me in the comments if you already knew this gladiator, or if you know of any others. Share your knowledge with us. Now let's move on to the next legendary gladiator, and I'm talking about Spartacus. He was a different kind of man. From the moment his feet touched the arena's sand, something about him captured everyone's attention. It wasn't just his strength or his skill with the sword, but the way he faced his opponents with calm and precision. The crowd adored him. But what truly made his story stand out among countless other gladiators was the admiration he sparked in one of Rome's most powerful and feared figures, Emperor Nero. Nero, known for his excessive taste for parties and spectacles, was soon captivated by Spiculus. To the emperor, Spiculus wasn't just another gladiator. To Nero, Spiculus represented perfection in the arena. With each victory, Nero would rise from his throne, applauding with a satisfied smile. Spiculus didn't just defeat his opponents, he did it in a way that held everyone's attention. It was as if each strike, each movement, was part of a carefully rehearsed dance. As time went on, Nero began to reward Spiculus in ways no one could have imagined. While other gladiators fought for their freedom, Spiculus was invited to the palace. He was given riches, palaces, and even lands, something unimaginable for a man who, by essence, was supposed to be a mere fighter. To the eyes of the public, Spiculus was no longer just a gladiator. He was someone of prestige, a figure admired even by the highest echelons of Roman society. But the relationship between Nero and Spiculus was not just one of admiration. When Nero's empire began to crumble, and he found himself cornered by his enemies, the emperor knew that his end was near. In an act of desperation, Nero asked Spiculus to give him a swift and honorable death. He wanted the gladiator he so admired to be the last person he would see. But fate, always unpredictable, did not allow this to happen. Before Spiculus could answer the call, Nero, unable to wait, decided to take his own life. Even after Nero's death, Spiculus's fame continued to grow. His story was told and retold by poets and artists. Statues were sculpted in his honor, and he became a living legend. Throughout Rome, his name was spoken with respect and admiration. But for Spiculus, the true test was yet to come. Even with all the recognition, he knew his life in the arena was far from over. Every time he entered the arena, the risk of losing everything was lurking, waiting. The glory he had achieved was immense, but the fight for survival continued. If you're enjoying this content and believe that these stories of Rome are helping you better understand the empire that shaped the world, don't forget to give a like. This not only helps spread the true history of Rome to more people, but also ensures that YouTube shows you more videos like this. So give a like and strengthen this journey of historical discoveries. Now let us discover the story of Hermes. He was no ordinary gladiator. From the moment he stepped into the arena, there was something about him that captivated everyone's attention. He didn't fight like the others. While many gladiators specialized in a single weapon, Hermes mastered several. It was as if he was born for combat, with a unique talent. He could use anything, sword, shield, spear, or even fight barehanded. And still, he was always the favorite. The poet Martial, one of Rome's greatest writers, was so impressed with Hermes that he wrote a poem just for him. It was uncommon for gladiators to receive such recognition, but Hermes was different. He fought as if he were an extension of the arena itself, moving with grace and precision, always one step ahead of his opponents. Martial described Hermes as a master in every style of combat, something rare even among the best gladiators. Every time Hermes entered the arena, the crowd knew they were about to witness something special. He faced powerful adversaries, yet nothing seemed to scare him. His ability to change tactics mid-fight, to adapt to any opponent's style, made him almost invincible. And the most impressive part? He didn't need to show off. His victories spoke for themselves. Hermes was known for training tirelessly, always seeking new ways to improve. He believed that to be the best, he needed to master all weapons and techniques. This set him apart from other gladiators who specialized in a single fighting style. Hermes, on the other hand, wanted to be able to win in any situation, against any adversary. The audience loved this versatility. Each of Hermes' fights was a spectacle because no one knew what he would do next. He could start with a short sword, then pick up a spear from the ground and wield it with the same skill. This unpredictability made Hermes a true legend. Many gladiators feared facing him, knowing he always had a trick up his sleeve. Hermes became a symbol of excellence and courage in the arena. His name was respected by all, and his fights were discussed for days after each event. But what stood out the most about Hermes was not only his technique, but his quiet confidence. He didn't boast about his victories or need excessive applause. He knew that each time he emerged victorious, it was another step towards solidifying his legend. And so, Hermes' story continues, with each new battle marking another chapter in his incredible journey. With every fight, he became more admired, more feared, and more legendary. And don't forget to grab your digital book, 10 Battles That Shaped the Roman Empire. It's crucial that you get it now before our stock runs out. Are you ready to learn about the next legendary battle between two of the greatest gladiators? On a sunny afternoon in ancient Rome, thousands of people crowded the grandstands of the mighty Colosseum, also known as the Flavian Arena. The audience was eager, and the buzz grew as the day's most anticipated moment approached. It was the showdown between two of the greatest gladiators of their time, Frescoes and Versus. These names were already known by everyone. Men of unparalleled skill, they had faced dozens of opponents but had never before encountered each other in the arena. What was about to unfold would be more than just a fight, it would be a legendary battle. The arena doors opened and the two warriors entered. On one side, Frescoes, with his imposing stance and determined gaze. He was known for his brute strength, able to take down opponents with just one swing of his heavy axe. On the other side, Versus, a quick and agile fighter, wielding his short sword with the skill of someone who had faced death countless times. The contrast between the two gladiators was clear. While Frescoes relied on his overwhelming strength, Versus used speed as his primary weapon. The crowd was silent, waiting for the fight to begin. When the trumpets sounded, the two gladiators advanced, and the Colosseum transformed into a field of pure tension. Frescoes attacked first, swinging his axe with the intention of quickly ending the fight. But Versus was too fast. He dodged, moving with an almost supernatural lightness, evading Frescoes' blows by only a few centimeters. For a while, it seemed like Versus might be able to tire Frescoes out, but the stronger gladiator wasn't willing to give up so easily. He changed his strategy, starting to anticipate Versus' movements, forcing him into a corner. It became a game of wits where every mistake could be the last. The sun beat down on the arena, sweat poured from the gladiators, and the audience was increasingly captivated. Frescoes and Versus were no longer fighting just for victory, but for the respect of their opponents and the honor of the arena. Swords clashed, shields collided, and the sound of battle echoed off the stone walls of the Colosseum. The tension grew with each second. After hours of combat, something unexpected happened. Frescoes and Versus, in an almost synchronized movement, stopped. Both were exhausted, wounded, but neither was willing to deliver the final blow. They stared at each other for a long moment, and the arena, which had been filled with cheers and applause, fell into absolute silence. That silence wasn't disappointment, it was reverence. The crowd understood they were witnessing not just a fight, but a duel between two men who had given everything they had. In that moment of mutual respect, something rare happened. Both lowered their weapons at the same time, as if recognizing each other's greatness. The crowd exploded into applause, and Emperor Titus, watching from his box, rose in admiration. Never before had two gladiators fought with such courage and honor. In a magnanimous gesture, Titus ordered that both be awarded the rudis, the small wooden sword that granted worthy gladiators their freedom. Frescoes and Versus had not only won victory in the arena, but also their freedom. The audience cheered, and the two gladiators, now free, became living legends. I noticed that you forgot to subscribe to the channel. Don't miss out on all the content we bring about Rome. Now learn the story of Carpophorus. He was a gladiator specialized in one of the most dangerous tasks in the Roman arena, fighting wild animals. While many gladiators faced off against other men, Carpophorus had a different challenge. He was a bestiarius, a fighter who took on the most feared beasts of the time, like lions, bears, leopards, and even rhinoceroses. Carpophorus became famous for his incredible skill in defeating these animals, and one of his most famous battles was when he faced 20 beasts at once. On that day, the Colosseum was packed, with thousands of people waiting to see if he could overcome this nearly impossible challenge. When the arena doors opened, the roars of the beasts echoed. Carpophorus, armed with a short spear and his experience, stood before the animals. The first to attack him was a massive lion. With a quick movement, he dodged and with a precise blow, brought the lion down. But he had no time to rest. Soon bears and leopards surrounded him, and Carpophorus continued to fight, dodging and attacking with a skill that seemed almost superhuman. The battle continued, and the crowd could hardly believe what they were seeing. With each new animal Carpophorus defeated, the arena erupted in applause. But the greatest challenge came when a furious rhinoceros charged at him. This animal was gigantic, and any mistake could be fatal. Nevertheless, Carpophorus remained calm. He waited for the right moment, and when the rhinoceros lunged, Carpophorus dodged and managed to strike his spear into a vital point, defeating the beast. At the end of the battle, Carpophorus had defeated all 20 beasts. His body was exhausted and wounded, but he remained standing. The crowd was ecstatic. Carpophorus had become a hero of the arena, a legend who displayed not only strength, but also intelligence and courage in the face of the greatest dangers. This fight was a milestone in Roman history and secured Carpophorus a place among the most revered gladiators of the time. His ability to confront the impossible and emerge victorious made him a true legend, admired by all who witnessed his feats. Now we will tell you the story of Crixus. He was a Gallic gladiator, a man of great stature and strength who, like so many others, was captured and forced to fight in the arenas of Rome. However, unlike many gladiators who accepted their fate, Crixus had something different in his heart, a deep desire for freedom. He despised life as a slave and gladiator, where men were treated as mere entertainment for the Roman elite. This hatred fueled him in every fight, and over time, he became one of the most skilled and feared gladiators. But his indomitable spirit could not be controlled forever. It was in the heart of a gladiator school in Capua, where Crixus and other warriors trained under the harsh gaze of their masters, that something began to take shape. The atmosphere was tense. The gladiators, tired of abuse and brutal conditions, began to whisper about freedom, about the possibility of fighting not just against each other, but against those who oppressed them. And Crixus was at the center of these conversations. He no longer wanted to entertain the Romans with his blood. He wanted revenge. Then, the revolt began. On a dark night, Crixus, along with Spartacus, another famous gladiator, led a daring escape. They broke out of the gladiator school, armed only with kitchen utensils transformed into improvised weapons. Alongside approximately 70 other gladiators, they broke their chains and fled to the slopes of Mount Vesuvius. What began as a desperate escape soon turned into something much greater. As they fled, other slaves began to join them. The group of rebels grew quickly. The names of Crixus and his companions echoed throughout Italy, bringing hope to many and fear to the powerful. The rebel army was not composed of seasoned soldiers, but of slaves, peasants, and gladiators. People who had nothing to lose. And yet they were fierce. Crixus, with his brute strength and combat skills, soon stood out as one of the leaders of this movement. He wasn't just fighting to survive, but to avenge the years of oppression that he and so many others had endured. The Third Servile War had begun. Roman legions were sent to crush the revolt, but it wouldn't be that simple. Crixus and the other leaders of the rebellion organized ambushes and surprise attacks, using the mountainous terrain to their advantage. They knew Rome's brutality and were ready to face every legion that came their way. But not everything was unified within the rebel army. While Spartacus saw an opportunity to lead the rebels out of Italy, Crixus had other plans. His heart was consumed by a deep desire for vengeance. He wanted to march south, destroy Italy's wealthy cities, loot Roman villages and estates, and show them the true cost of their cruelty. This led to a division among the rebels. Crixus, with a group of loyal followers, separated from Spartacus, determined to wage his own war against Rome. Crixus's journey would be marked by epic battles and eventually by his inevitable encounter with the Roman legions. And remember, whenever you want access to all the content about Roman history, just get your digital book, 10 Battles That Shaped the Roman Empire. Our stock is running low, so head to the pinned comment and get yours now. Now let me tell you the story of Marcus Attilius. He was a man who never imagined he would become a gladiator. Unlike many who fought in the arena, he wasn't forced into it. He was a Roman citizen, someone with an ordinary life, until the debts started piling up. The weight of these debts dragged him down, and he needed a way out, a way to pay everything and restore his honor. That's when he made a risky decision. He would become a gladiator. The idea seemed crazy. Choosing to enter the arena, where most battles ended in death, wasn't something just anyone would do. But Marcus Attilius saw no other solution. He knew this was his only chance to earn the money necessary to pay off his debts. So with the courage of someone with nothing left to lose, Attilius began his training. Day after day, he trained hard, learning to handle the sword, the shield, and studying the movements of other gladiators. Each strike was preparation for what was to come. He knew that to survive and win, he would need to be fast, precise, and above all, brave. And this courage was put to the test when the day of his first battle arrived. His opponent wasn't just any gladiator. Hilarius, Attilius's adversary, was a living legend, known for his 13 consecutive victories. Belonging to Emperor Nero himself, Hilarius was feared and respected throughout Rome. Entering the arena against him was almost like signing a death sentence. But Attilius didn't let fear consume him. He stepped into the arena with one goal in mind: to survive. The fight began, and Hilarius attacked with the strength and experience of a veteran. The audience watched, expecting Hilarius to crush his opponent once again. But something different happened. Marcus Attilius was no ordinary fighter. Even as a novice, he displayed surprising skill. Each of Hilarius's attacks was dodged with agility, and Attilius waited patiently for the right moment to counterattack. The crowd, who initially seemed to support Hilarius, became captivated by the fight, rooting for this unknown gladiator facing a giant. After a long and intense battle, Attilius saw his opportunity. With a precise strike, he brought Hilarius down, ending what seemed to be an unbreakable winning streak. The Colosseum, which had been silent before, erupted in shouts and applause. No one could believe it. Marcus Attilius, the man who had entered the arena to pay his debts, had defeated one of Rome's most feared gladiators. This victory changed everything. Attilius was no longer just an ordinary man trying to survive. He was now a known name on the streets of Rome, someone the audience wanted to see again. And Marcus Attilius's journey was only beginning. He would continue to fight, facing even greater challenges, and his courage would lead him to victories few believed possible. Each battle, each strike, brought Marcus Attilius closer to his goal, but it also transformed him into something more than just a gladiator. Tell me in the comments if you knew any of these gladiators so far, and if there's any we haven't mentioned yet. Now let's dive into the story of Flamma. Flamma, originally a Syrian soldier, was captured by the Romans and turned into a gladiator, a common fate for war prisoners in those times. But what made his story stand out was his long career and the respect he gained over the years. Gladiators typically had short lives in the arena due to the brutal nature of the fights, but Flamma fought for 13 years, an impressive feat for any fighter. During his career, Flamma displayed incredible skill with the sword and shield. He moved with precision and strength, defeating opponents of various backgrounds and fighting styles. His victories were not only a result of his physical strength, but also his strategy and courage. Flamma was the kind of gladiator who never hesitated, facing his enemies head-on, which made him one of the most feared in the arena. His name soon spread across Rome, and the public revered him. The most curious part of his journey is that Flamma was awarded the Rudis, the symbol of freedom for a gladiator, 4 times. Receiving this small wooden sword meant he could retire and live as a free man, a dream for many gladiators. However, Flamma refused freedom every time. This surprised many, as most gladiators fought with the sole goal of earning their freedom and escaping the violent life of the arenas. But Flamma was different. To him, the arena wasn't just a place of combat, it was a space where he felt fulfilled. He chose to continue fighting, even with the chance to live a peaceful life outside the arena. It's believed that he found purpose in the battles, a meaning to his life that kept him going. Perhaps the adrenaline of the fights and the glory he received in the Colosseum were more important to him than freedom itself. Beyond his skill with weapons, Flamma was admired for his resilience. Fighting for 13 years and surviving so many battles showed he was not just strong, but also incredibly determined. He became a true legend, not only because of his victories, but because of his choice to remain in the arena, facing death repeatedly. Flamma is remembered as one of the most respected and feared gladiators of ancient Rome, a man who chose combat and glory over freedom. His story continues to fascinate because he symbolizes the strength and determination that many gladiators aspired to have, but few achieved. So everyone, now that we've talked about Flamma, and his incredible journey, remember that this is just one part of the list of the 9 most famous gladiators of the Roman Empire. Each of them has a fascinating story, full of courage, challenges, and of course, many epic battles. And don't forget, whenever you have questions about the true stories of Rome, you can access them anytime by getting your digital book, 10 Battles That Shaped the Roman Empire, in the pinned comment. Our stock is running low, so grab yours today. If you enjoyed this content and want to know more about the other gladiators who made history, stay tuned to our channel. There's much more to come. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss an episode. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.